Hi everyone. It's been a while since I've been posting, so I thought I'd go ahead and talk about deck building and deck lists and stuff. So this is what I've currently been working with here, fusion of Inzektors and Punks, and it's been a lot of fun. When it comes to deck building, there are a lot of different philosophies. You might just be trying to have fun or come up with some cool combos. Maybe you're trying to make the most competitive deck possible. For my part, I don't go to tournaments anymore, so I'm always just trying to make very consistent decks that can do combos that I find interesting. That's what this is. So this is not a tier 1, take it to regionals and win easily kind of deck. This is instead a deck that you can have a lot of fun with, and maybe you can adapt it to something that you'd find more competitive. So with that in mind, let's talk about the package, what's going on, what's in here. Starting with, these are pretty normal Inzektors. We have 3 Centipede, 3 Dragonfly, 3 Ladybug, that's all standard. You'll see that in every Inzektor deck. I am only playing 2 Hornet here. Hornet is not really what's driving the combo for the FTK that I'm doing in this deck. So I cut 1, makes it a little more consistent. Nice like that. For similar reasons, we're running 1 Giga Weevil and 1 Giga Mantis. You might see some decks run a whole lot more of these and load them up so it's easy to combo, but then they clog in the opening hands. You don't get to go off as consistently and easily. So I think it's better to have more consistency in the opening hand, and you have to work a little harder for your combos as you go through. You'll also notice that there's no Zect-Caliber in here. You can put 1 Zect-Caliber in, possibly replace the Giga Mantis with it, but there's not enough room in the deck for 1 of each of these guys and the Zect-Caliber too. So you have to make a decision there. And Giga Mantis combo is a little harder than Zect-Caliber does because of the special summon, so that's what it comes down to. Next up we have 3 Zektrikes. Strongest Inzektor card there is. It's been out for over a year. I imagine you guys are kind of familiar with it if you're on a niche channel like this. So 3 Kos, they're amazing. They make everything work. Consistency, play through, interrupts, they're incredible in every way. Next up, we have the Punk engine. Again, it's not a brand new thing. A lot of you might already be familiar with the Punks. But just in case you're not, we're running a really tight small Punk package here. We're just trying to access free tuners and synchro monsters. That's really all we're after here. So 3 Foxies, because if you draw Foxy, you get to go off right away. Inzektors always have something you don't mind discarding for this effect. In special summons from the deck, it's easy, it runs fast, it plays through, disrupts, it's very powerful. We're doing 2 Seamen. This is the search card. It's also the standard tuner you're going to go get for all of your combos. Very strong, 3 stars, so it also exceeds very easily for rank 3s with a lot of your Inzektors. We're running 1 Sharakusai. By standard, you don't get this card. It's not what you always want, but occasionally your deck is a little locked up, and Shirakusai opens up your fusion play, which can get things running when it doesn't otherwise. Then we have 1 Deer Note. Deer Note recurs a monster when you sync it off, which is very powerful. It can turn 1 8-star synchro into basically a free 8-star exceed. Very strong card, recurs, but you only want 1 of it because this isn't the combo starter. This is the center combo piece, and you can go search it when you need it. So that's it. Supporting this, we have 3 E-Tellies. We have 3 targets, 3 E-Tellies. If you draw E-Telly, you can have TK with this deck, no matter what's in your hand. It's that strong. So we're definitely loading up the E-Tellies. If you don't need the E-Telly, it's an amazing extender. It lets you play through all kinds of stuff. E-Telly's been good forever. Why wouldn't you play through if you can? And now we can get to a little bit of spice. So we have Gokipole here. Some of you are going to know Gokipole, but in case you're not familiar, when this card hits the graveyard, you can put a level 4 insect from your deck to your hand. If that monster is a normal monster, you can special summon it, which is why we have Black Sea here. It's just a normal monster, so we get that free extension. And with this setup, we can get a free level 7 synchro off of our Punk setups. Really cool, huge extension. This is the key part for my other video where I have a full FTK without using my normal summon. It's because of these 2. Alright, and now we get to some generic cards. We have Foolish Burial because we're playing Inzektors, and it's just a mistake not to have this card in an Inzektor deck. We have 3 Small Worlds here. These are for consistency. In this deck, with Black Sea here, you can trade between your Earth Punks and any of your insect monsters. So a lot of consistency with this. You could play Pot of Prosperity instead of this, but because we're FTKing, the FTK is really hard if you throw off a pot. You have to come up with extra summons, extra damage to overcome the pot cost, and you don't get to use your Pico Felina draw. It makes things a lot harder. It's not impossible. If you prefer pot, you can play it that way, but Small World is much, much easier. And then after that, we have 10 generic cards here. Right now I have a hodgepodge of hand traps and cross out and all that kind of stuff. The point here is these 10 cards can be whatever you pick. They are not necessary for the engine. They're not necessary for the FTK. So you fill these with whatever staples you like, however you prefer to play. And that's actually a lot of freedom in a deck that's going to FTKs consistently at this one. So the next part of this is going to be the extra deck. We are going to start off with the actual FTK and how that works. So we're using number 6 Chronomaly. This monster can cut your opponent's life points in half. So if you use this effect twice, which is why there's 2 in here, they're down to 2,000 life points. Then we bring out a Gustav Max, finish them off with a 2k burn. That's how it works. But if you've never used number 6 before, in order to burn, it has to equip another number monster from the graveyard to itself. For that, we have Dugares. Dugares is a good generic card. His special summon ability can extend Inzektor plays really hard. So we just set him up so that he's in the graveyard. So when we're ready to bring out Chronomaly, easy burn. It works, no problem. All right. Next up, we have the Inzektor cards. These are for pretty much any Inzektor deck, whether you're playing burn or not. We have Armor Horn. This is what brought Inzektors back into the discussion. This free normal summon is incredibly powerful. Lets you push your combo as far as you want. Inzektors really don't have limitations anymore. Pico Felina has been around for a while. This is where your combo goes from happening to explosive. The standard play with Pico Felina is by this point you should already have one of your Gigas in your hand. Use Pico's effect to equip Hornet to a Dragonfly that's already on the field. You get 3 monsters out of it, big explosive play, and you get to reload some of your Inzektors so you can extend your plays even longer. So Pico Felina, absolute staple, absolute must in every Inzektor deck. You'll find a lot of decks play 2, but that's because those decks are trying to have a turn 2, and they want a Pico Felina for the next turn. This deck is not trying to have a turn 2. This deck, if it gets to Pico Felina, should kill your opponent. But if you get that far into your combo, it means they can't stop you. They're dead. Next up is not as standard, but it's a very strong card in here. That's Beauregard Dragon. This guy makes it really easy to get rank 6s out. He sends a Speller Trap from the graveyard or from the field to the graveyard, and then you get to special summon a monster that was destroyed. So with your Pico play, you're destroying one of your Gigas. It's in the graveyard. Then you set up another Inzektor after that. This guy triggers an Inzektor effect to bring back your destroyed monster. It's free, rank 6, really easy. Also, because he's a 4-link, you can clear the board off with all of your used Inzektors and Dugares and things like that, so you have space to keep summoning. And then the next generic thing we have here is Shinobi. Shinobi's good for a couple of things. First of all, sometimes you might have an Armor Horn on your field that you want to get rid of. Shinobi's an easy way to do that. He is an insect, so you can special summon him, and you can just get rid of your Armor Horn. The other thing is, what we're going to see with this next card, is it's easy to put Inzektors into the graveyard the way you want. So Shinobi's ability to special summon from the graveyard actually improves the consistency of this particular deck, and it's pretty cool. After that, we have Diabolantis. Now, this is why this version of the deck exists, this is why I made it, is because of Diabolantis. The punks give you really easy synchros. You can synchro into an 8-star monster very simply. If you get Foxy, if you get Seaman, if you get E-Telly, any of these things, and you have an 8-star synchro for free. And this card, if you're not familiar, you can send insect or plant monsters from your deck to the graveyard up to the number of non-tuners that you use to bring this card out. So in this deck, you're almost always just getting one. If you want to be creative, you can find ways to send more than one monster, but typically you're looking to set up Seaman and Deer Note to bring out Diabolantis. So you get to send one insect. If you need a specific Inzektor, like say you need a Ladybug to get going, you just send the Ladybug, you're off to the races. There's also an extended play that I mentioned before. This can send Goki Pull, which gets you a free Black Sea to the field. So you're on the field with an extra 4-star monster, but then because you're making this with Seaman and Deer Note can bring back one of the punks in your grave. So you sync these two off, bring back your 3-star tuner, get your free 4-star. Using this effect means you get a free 7-star synchro monster. Right now, the only 7-star I have in here is Circle of Fairy. When the errata version of Ancient Fairy Dragon is out and legal, this is probably a better choice. But Circle of Fairy does allow you to normal summon a plant or insect in addition to your normal summon, which means with this and Armor Horn and your regular normal summon, you can normal summon 3 times in one turn. It does work. There's no conflict. You don't run out of normal summons that way. So this allows you to use your normal summon on your punks, but you can still set up your Inzektors, and you still go off with your Inzektors when you're ready. So that's what this spice little play does for you. That's what's nice about it. So then we have a few cards that are in here specifically because of the punks. That's going to be Rising Carp. It's the only punk card in the extra deck. And it's just here. Sometimes you can't make combos work the way you want to the easy way. And so you use Circusai and you bring out Rising Carp. Rising Carp can get you 2 punks. It can get you your 8-star synchro, and then you're off to the races. It's fine. Most of the time you don't make this, but every once in a while it's your best choice. And then we get a little bit more spice in this. So now we have Zombie Vampire. Zombie Vampire, just in case you're not familiar with it, you can mill 4 cards, and then you can special summon 1 monster that was milled out of those 4. So since we're playing Inzektors, we don't mind milling. We like sending these guys to the grave. And if you happen to hit one of your good ones, you can special summon it, so it can set you off. The other thing to keep in mind is when you bring Atlantis out, you can, instead of recurring your Seaman, if you have Foxy in the grave, you can recur Foxy. So just summoning him, you have the rank 8 for free. And then odds are, in this deck, when you mill, you're going to hit an Inzektor card, which is going to allow you to combo. Now, you don't necessarily want to do this as a default because this mills for both players, and you don't want to mill your opponent for free unless you have to. But if your deck's stalled out, if you don't have any Inzektor plays, you don't have enough to get going, you can run through your punks. You do this. You haven't seen Inzektors yet, so very high odds they'll hit. I'd say in my playtesting, more than 50% of the time when I throw this effect, I get to special summon an Inzektor and do a full FTK combo. So it just cleans up the particularly awkward hands that you can't make work otherwise. Next up we have Baron. It's just maybe the strongest synchro monster. It's generically good. Protects your plays. The ability to pop a card can extend combos. Why wouldn't you play it? All right, we already talked about Fairy. And next up we have number 75. This is here for 2 reasons. First of all, because E-Telly and Foxy make it very easy to put out a rank 3. This in particular, most Inzektor decks are going to play Cicada King, but we want number 75 because it's better at stopping hand traps. Cicada King only negates effects on the field. This guy negates any monster effect. And rather than negate, it changes it into draw card. But the biggest thing here is this guy shuts down Nibiru. They activate Nibiru, chain, you will draw a card, but they've already activated Nibiru there 1 time, so they can't Nibiru you for the rest of the turn. Getting this out early protects your entire FDK, and that's why it's here. That's the entire purpose. And the last up is Chaos Angel. This card is supposed to release in a month or 2. I forget my release schedules. For now, if you want to make this deck legal this week and play it, you can put in Trish instead. The point of this card is to get to Gustav Max easily. Trish is an easy way to do it. Chaos Angel is even easier. Chaos Angel is a level 10 synchro, but you don't need a tuner to bring it out. Instead, you can use a light or dark monster as a tuner, which means you can have 3 Inzektors on the field and just bring out Chaos Angel. Very, very, very easy level 10 to get into your Gustav Max to finish the combo. So that concludes the deck. That's everything that's going on right now. I'm not really getting into sideboards that much. That's entirely up to you, and you have a lot of cards you can play with to trade out in your sideboard without affecting the general consistency of the deck. In playtesting, just playing solitaire by myself since I'm not going to locals or anything these days, this is opening with the ability to FDK a little over 90% of the time. Obviously, that doesn't account for your opponent's counterplay, but this template of a deck is giving you the option to FTK if you can play it right over 90% of the time. So it's extremely consistent in its singular focus in what it's trying to do. So that's all we have to talk about today. I can make more videos in the future showing some gameplay, some alternative combos, different things to do, maybe some other Inzektor stuff too, because I'm a one-trick pony. Let me know what you're interested in, questions, anything like that in the comments. Thanks a lot.